Brightline officially began passenger service in 2018 after years of planning and construction. Built to run faster than traditional freight and commuter rail, it quickly captured the imagination of Florida's growing population and the attention of investors. But from nearly the beginning, trouble followed. In its first test run back in mid-2017, a person was struck by the train. From that point on, fatalities would become disturbingly frequent. Before we continue, let me be clear. The United States is in desperate need of new public transit and high-speed rail. Our cities are far too car-dependent, and we need more public transportation to relieve stress on our roadways, especially in a state like Florida, which is consistently ranked as one of the fastest-growing states in the country. From a surface level, Brightline is a great idea, but the number of deaths involving the train is undeniable. So let's try to gain a better perspective on why these tragedies keep happening. Brightline promised fast, modern transportation, but behind the excitement lies a troubling truth. Brightline has become one of the deadliest rail services in America. Since starting operations, over 180 people have died in incidents involving Brightline trains, and that number is only growing. So what's going on? Brightline began service in 2018, running passenger trains at high speed between Miami, West Palm Beach, and now Orlando. The company also has plans to expand the line over to Tampa. While high-speed rail in other countries is often seen as safe and efficient, data shows a very different story for Brightline. Based on the current numbers, there's been a death every 13 days on average of service. For comparison, Brightline has the highest death rate per mile of any U.S. passenger railroad. There's even an Instagram page with 75,000 followers that tracks the train's crashes. So if Brightline is so advanced, why is the death toll so high? There are several factors at play. First, we have to look at the track design and speed. Much of Brightline's route runs at street level, meaning that road crossings are frequent. In some areas, the trains reach 79 miles per hour. Another major factor is the quiet zones. Local regulations create quiet zones where trains are prohibited from sounding their horns except in emergencies. Without these horns, pedestrians and drivers may not get adequate warning. Another major factor is human behavior. Many of the fatalities are linked to trespassing or people trying to beat the train or crossing improperly. According to Brightline and law enforcement, a large portion of the deaths are not due to mechanical failure, but are due to mental health-related accidents or people ignoring safety.
In every incident to date, all of the safety and warning systems worked exactly as intended. These were all examples of individuals circumventing the very equipment that was put in place to protect them. It's impossible to have a conversation about rail safety without discussing opioids and mental health. Every person who has died on our railroad has either chosen to end their lives or been under the influence of drugs.
Another major factor that needs to be considered is inadequate safety infrastructure. Investigators say that in many places there is not enough fencing and the track access is way too easy for pedestrians. While Brightline has pledged safety improvements like infrared detectors and improved signage and fencing, critics argue that it's not enough. There are so many stories to cover, but here's a few incidents. It's important to remember that these numbers are more than just a statistic. These are all real people and real tragedies. In Palm Beach County, a 49-year-old woman died after falling on the tracks. Her family said that there was no fencing or warning system to stop people from walking across. In Fort Pierce, a 25-year-old man was struck shortly after the Orlando extension opened, believed to be mental health related. A crash in Delray Beach saw a fire truck driven by firefighters go around the gate and get hit by the Brightline train, injuring 15 people. So what's Brightline's response to all of this? Brightline's leadership acknowledges the problem. President Patrick Goddard said that each death is devastating, and the company wants to reduce that toll to zero. So far, their response has included investing in infrared motion detectors to alert engineers of someone lingering too close to the track, testing drones with cameras to monitor tracks and even communicate with people lingering there, and installing more fencing and signage and other barriers. But some of these safety upgrades are being delayed or underfunded, and advocates say that they're not being implemented fast enough. Critics argue that the high death toll points to not just individual mistakes, but to systematic failures. Many people point to local urban design. Many roads and crossings were built after the railroad, exposing more people to danger. Of course, a huge number of these deaths are suicides, and there is a call for better suicide prevention measures along the rail lines. A lot of this criticism raises the question, whose responsibility is the train safety? Is it the companies, the cities, or the individual? Some may say that Brightline is entirely responsible for making sure their route is safe, while others may put more blame on city infrastructure that doesn't support the train line. Many also argue that it's the individual's fault who chooses to disobey the laws and go around barriers. Overall, Brightline may represent the future of rail travel in Florida, but it's the human cost that's too high. More than 180 lives have been lost and counting. This is not just a train problem, it's a public safety problem. If you live around Brightline tracks, stay alert around crossings. Never try to beat a train. And if you or someone you know struggling with mental health, reach out to them. If you live in one of these communities that Brightline runs through, make your voice heard to these policymakers that this is not safe and something needs to change. Brightline is extremely important in the fight for public infrastructure and public transit in the state of Florida. As of now, Amtrak only has one line, the Floridian line, and it only runs once a day. Florida's population is growing exponentially, and the roadways are just not enough to support that growing population. There has to be a happy medium where this type of public transit can exist without endangering the lives of so many people.